Hello everybody, welcome back. It's another F1 Diecast Masterclass. Holy shit. Anyway, we've got something pretty cool today. It's a brand new to the diecast scene in 143 scale. This is a Solido. I've reviewed Solido before. It was way back in 2020, the Esteban Ocon 1/18 scale. Now we've got an Esteban Ocon 143 scale. I believe this is the first year that this brand is doing 143 scales. So it's going to be very, very cool. As you guys know, I already reviewed a 143 scale Alpine. This is the Pierre Gasly. You can check that video out on my channel. I also just so happened to find the Esteban Ocon Bburago car at Target the other day, so we'll do a quick comparison. I won't focus too much on the Bburago in this video because I already reviewed it. But yeah, very, very cool to see a new brand of 143 scale diecast. Now, before I forget, I never remember to mention this, but I do have an Instagram where you can see some of my stuff a little bit earlier sometimes, and just in general, more detailed pictures of all the cars that I get. Give it a follow if you are so inclined. Let's get digging into this diecast. And I'll turn my light on here in a second, but it kind of reflects off the plastic covers, so I didn't really want to do that for the first part of the video. One thing I'm really interested in seeing is, of course, the quality on this diecast, obviously, because in terms of price, this was a little bit more expensive than a Bburago, but obviously way cheaper than a Spark. And so if the detail is better on this than it is on a Bburago, we're sort of filling up sort of a niche, you know. Right now, the Bburago cars are 10 bucks, and then the Spark cars are 80 bucks. So there's a huge space waiting to be filled of F1 diecasts that are reasonably priced but have better detail than a Bburago. So I'm looking to see if this is going to make that. And on the bottom, you can see they are not just making Alpine, they are also making McLaren and Alfa Romeo Sauber, which just so happen to be brands that Bburago are also making. I'd like to see, you know, maybe Haas or RB or Williams, maybe. I don't know. Then we could get the whole grid in a cheaper form. We wouldn't have to go to Spark or Mini Champs to get the full grid. Just what I'm thinking, though. Here is the base. Very, very nice, very standard looking base. It's not wooden like the Spark cars. It's got a screw on the bottom. Solido is a French brand, by the way. So that's cool that they're not just making Alpine, and they're not just making Pierre. Well, both the drivers are French now, actually. But it's cool. They aren't just making the French team. There was tape on this. I don't know why I started pulling it. All right. Now we can get this off of the base. I only pulled off one piece of tape, so get off here, bitch. Ah, there we go. Haha. And I don't think I mentioned it up to this point, but this is from the Monaco Grand Prix last year, where Esteban Ocon scored his one and only podium for the 2023 season. All right, so let's get this car off of the base. Here, I'll turn my light on now. Whoa, I don't know if I like how that looks yet. You can see it a little bit better. You can see more of the details. Just a quick overview of everything. A lot of stuff I'm seeing that I like quite a bit about this car already, but I'll give it a fair appraisal. We'll take a look at both of them in a second. Now, let's get this car off the base and we will take a closer look. And here it is. The Solido Alpine A523 from the Monaco Grand Prix in 2023, driven by Esteban Ocon. And guys and gals and people of all shapes and sizes and colors, and anyway, this is a pretty damn good diecast, I must say. I've given myself some time to look at it, and I really like what I see here. One thing you can't notice on camera is the weight. This diecast has some weight to it. It really feels good. It doesn't feel light and flimsy or flying all over the place and cheap. They've got some weight to this one, and I think that's really cool. I think that speaks to whatever material they've used to this. You know, diecast obviously, but it means there's not as much plastic or light, flimsy, cheap plastic going on this car. That's great to see. And the details on this car are phenomenal. Far better, I'd say, than a Bburago car. Remembering that this car was a little bit more expensive than a Bburago, not too much. Yeah, I'm liking what I see here. Let's talk about some of the details that we've got. So we've got aerials, radio antennas, and also rivet detailing right by the 31. That is something you don't even see on the mini champs sometimes, so that is very, very cool. So, you know, all these antennas, the Bburago doesn't have them on the Alpine. Sometimes Bburago will have them on the Ferrari and whatnot, but the Alpine doesn't have them. Moving down, another detail. I noticed this while it was still in the box. It's not even really going to let me focus on this, but this, the rod right here, I don't know what it's called. I know it helps with the porpoising and whatnot, but that is something that is not on the Bburago. Of course, it's unpainted, so it sort of blends in with the rest of the car, but that's a detail that's not on the Bburago. So it'd be cool if it was silver and painted, but considering, you know, Bburago doesn't have it at all, that is very, very cool. A little bit more enhanced detail of the vent right here. I think that could just be because this is the Monaco spec car, and maybe that's a little bit, there was a little bit bigger on the Monaco spec of this car, and I'll be showing you guys the Bburago here in a second, so we'll be able to look hard up on the comparisons. Here's the driver figure. That is a really, really good driver figure, and also the steering wheel is detailed. I mean, so we've got some mini champs and spark level details going on here for a car that was less than half the price of a Spark car. So that is really, really cool to see. And speaking of mini champs and Spark level detail, the tires on this car are phenomenal. The rubber looks like a real tire, and it's got bolt detail on the lug nuts, the wheel bolts. Something that's not really on the Bburago cars at all. I feel like they're not different colors on each side. Like at this side it's green, this side it's red. I don't think they're like that anymore. I at least heard that they weren't like that. The bolts were the same color on the same side, or on each side. Maybe that's a team thing. Maybe it's team by team. But these tires look really good. I wouldn't say they're better than a Spark or Mini Champs. But like I said earlier, this car is kind of filling in the gap, the massive gap. Look at this. I didn't even notice this detail on the front wing. I don't even know what that is. The hell is that? I don't friggin' know, but it's there. This car is filling in the gap, the huge gap between Bburago and Spark. We've got the cheaper cars, less detail, but cheap and still look good. And then the more expensive, I don't have an Alpine. I do have an Alpine, but not this year's Alpine for Spark. But yeah, this, if it could fit just right in the middle, that would be a perfect, you know, for the high-end, higher-end cars. Doesn't sit quite right on the table. It's not as bad as the Fernando Alonso Mini Champs. But yeah, I think that this is really, really cool. The inside of the rear wing, that's something that I always talk about with the Bburago cars if you've been on my channel. They always look like stickers. The sponsors on the inside of the the rear wing, they are stickers obviously, and they just don't look that good. They just look cheap. It even has the light detail on the light right here. Exhaust is unpainted. So I guess I would say if there's anything wrong with it, it's that some of these details are not painted. Again, these are all details that aren't present on the Bburago at all. Before I show you guys the Bburago and we do a hard-up comparison, I will say the one thing I don't really like besides the fact that some of the rods are unpainted, it's the glossy black that they use. I think it looks fine on the livery right here. It's supposed to be carbon fiber, and I tend to prefer, you know, when the carbon fiber is a matte finish, but it doesn't look too bad. I think it complements the livery pretty well, but stuff like the suspension pieces, tie rods, and the floor, I think, yeah, they should be matte black like they are here, but on the top, they are glossy black. I think it kind of messes with the livery a little bit. I just don't like how that looks. I think it looks kind of cheap. It's really the only problem I'd say this diecast has, and it's not really that bad. You kind of get used to it. But yeah, that's the thing about a review, is that if you say the stuff you like, you gotta say something that you don't like, otherwise it's not really fair. Or I don't know if that came out correctly. Whatever. Now let's do the hard-up comparison between the Solido and the Bburago. And for those that are new here, let me just say this. I really like the Bburago. I really like the Bburago Alpine. I thought it was a great car. I think it's one of the best Buragos that they've ever made. So I'm definitely not saying that this is a bad car. I think it's sort of unfair to assume or expect almost that the Bburago is going to have some of the details of some of the higher end stuff. So it's this might not even necessarily be a fair comparison. But I am going to do a lot of pictures and stuff to show you guys what I am talking about. But some of the stuff I mentioned, you know, on the Solido car, so the aerials, the winglets, the radio antennas, nothing on this Bburago car. They're not there at all. And it should be noted that the liveries differ slightly, I think, right here. Probably because this is a preseason testing spec of the car, and not for a given race. But a lot of the details look the same. You know, the floor, this wacky bit on the floor looks the same on both cars. So it's cool that they've modeled them a little bit differently. Like I said, that little rod, the porpoising preventer rod, I have no idea what it's called. It's not there on the Bburago. It is there on the Solido, and this vent is significantly smaller. Also, I noticed, you know, this, I think it's a camera. It looks like it should be here. There's a space for it here. Maybe it fell out in the factory. You can see the outline of where it should be. So that may be something that actually fell off in the factory or something. I have no idea. Here's the driver figure. Definitely going to need a picture. The helmet on the Bburago looks good, but the rest of the driver figure is pretty much nothing. No detail on the suit, no detail on the steering wheel. So yeah, that's definitely a huge step up from the Bburago. Here's the front wing. Not nearly as detailed as the Solido. Still solid on the Bburago. I've certainly seen worse before. And yeah, now onto the inside of the rear wing. I'm just flashing through everything. Like I said, you know, these are clearly stickers. They're very obviously stickers on the Bburago car. And yeah, this whole rear area with the light and the exhaust, nowhere near as good on the Bburago as it is with the Solido car. So yeah, you know, it's probably not really fair to compare these two cars. I definitely thought going into this that it would be, but I almost think that the Solido has made its own spot. It's in a different league. It's made its own league of F1 diecasts. So it is very, very, very cool to see a new diecast onto the scene that is very, very good quality. I definitely recommend you guys pick up one of their cars. As I mentioned, they have multiple different diecasts or teams that they are making for. I'd like to see some teams that we don't see diecasts for, because Bburago's making all three of the teams that Solido are. But hey, if you're looking for a quality car, higher quality than Bburago, but cheaper than Spark, this is definitely a very good one. It definitely lives up, and it's definitely a pretty cool car to see. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this car. Now I gotta figure out how to make the thumbnail different from the Pierre Gasly car, because this is not really a comparison. It was more of a review, but I gotta make sure people know this is, hey, this is something different. Don't just click off it. Don't not click on it because you think it's the same thing. It's another Bburago review. No, this is a great one. Definitely recommend picking this one up. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any of the other Solido cars? Let me know in the comments. Follow my Instagram if you're so inclined. And be on the lookout for more videos, because I've got plenty more F1 Diecasts just sitting around waiting to be reviewed. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.